Hi, this is Trey Pastor. Mr. Nightmare released a new video last week. It's called 3 Allegedly True Paranormal Horror Stories. So I'm going to give you my reaction and review to this. I'll be right back. Let me put my headphones in. Okay. Let's get ready to do this. Okay, here we go right now. Go. Okay, that's freaky. 3 stories. Story number 1.
I'm 27 years old, living with my brother James in a house we share. Never had anything severely strange or abnormal happen to me in my life, but there was this one week that I experienced this strange series of events. It started on what I thought would be a normal night like any other. I was in the kitchen washing the dishes before getting ready for bed. Suddenly, a plastic cup came crashing to the floor, and the sound of it made me jump and spin around from the sink. I saw the blue plastic cup bounce a few times, then fall dead on the floor. This was one of the cups that sits up top the cabinet. I knew it had to have been sitting upright, though. I had no idea what kind of force could have knocked it off the cabinet. It made no logical sense. I picked it up and put it back on the cabinet. That wasn't the last strange event that night, though. While in bed with the blinds shut, there was suddenly a strange, very faint glow in my room. It came through the blinds. I flipped over onto my side and tried to peek under the crack at the bottom of the blinds, but I couldn't see anything. Honestly, as weird as it was, I was so comfortable in bed and was too lazy to go lift the blinds.
I can understand.
I dismissed the light as something like a street light having a new bulb or something. I know, a little ridiculous, but at the time I had no reason to suspect anything paranormal. The next day, I was home alone when James was at work. It was a dark, stormy day, and the house was constantly rumbling from the thunder, so when I heard a cup fall from the kitchen, I associated it with the thunder. I went to the kitchen to pick it up, and realized it was the same blue plastic cup I'd carefully put back on the cabinet yesterday. There was no way thunder could have knocked it down from where it was. I put it on the counter and stood there, confused and a bit shaken, looking around the kitchen, not knowing what to think. As I was standing in the kitchen, I heard a creak in the floor above me. The room above me was actually my bedroom. I went to the stairs and called up for James, but I instantly remembered he wasn't home. Maybe it was the thunder shaking the whole house. But still, I had to check my room just for peace of mind. I went up the stairs to my room and turned on the lights, given that all the rooms in the house were dark due to the weather. My room is square-shaped with 2 big closets. The room was clear, as were the closets, so I shut the light and went back downstairs. That night, when James got home, I had a discussion with him about the strange events that had been taking place. He said he hadn't been aware of any of it. Still, nothing that happened up until that point was extremely unusual. For the rest of the night, things were normal, and I fell asleep with ease. I awoke at some off hour in the night. It was still dark. I checked my phone. It was 2 in the morning. I rolled back on my side and shut my eyes. When I heard the distinct sound of a finger tapping on a window, I could feel my heart in my throat. I didn't know why someone would be knocking at my window, but I didn't want to see who could be out there. But for some reason, it took me that long to realize I was on the 2nd floor of the house. Therefore, nobody could be on the outside of my window. I pushed the sheets off my body and flipped to face the window. There was no one standing there on the inside, though. So I lifted the blind, and there was no one outside either. Still, I knew that I heard what I heard, and I knew I hadn't been imagining or dreaming it. I ran to my brother's room and started freaking out. I don't know whether he believed me or not. Quite frankly, I don't think I'd believe me if I hadn't experienced it. I slept in the living room that night, and it's been 3 weeks now without any paranormal incidents. I never believed in the supernatural until this happened. I once took a road trip from New Hampshire to Florida. I had to stop at a hotel to sleep overnight when I was about halfway there. It was some old, somewhat dilapidated hotel that rested off the highway on a quiet road. There were like 2 cars in the parking lot, so there were definitely not a lot of guests. The lady at the front desk was very robotic and seemed bored with her job. She seemed to fit the atmosphere of the hotel perfectly. The lobby was full of tacky chairs and tables you'd expect to find put out on the curb. The wallpapers were all dated and equally tacky. Didn't matter though, I wasn't staying there for the luxury, just for the night and for the convenience. It was late when I checked in, so when I got in the room, all I did was take out my toothbrush and brush my teeth before jumping into the hotel bed. I turned out the lamp next to the bed and tried to go to sleep, not looking forward to the long day of driving I had ahead of me the next day. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. I looked at the bedside clock to be sure that it was almost midnight. I went to the door and looked through the peephole. Apparently the peephole didn't work though, because I couldn't see out into the hallway through it. All I saw was black. I looked down at the crack under the door, but didn't see any outlines of feet blocking the light. So I opened the door just a little bit to peek into the hallway. I didn't see anyone standing in front of the door. I opened it fully and then peeked down both sides of the hallway. It was clear. So I had to suddenly question if someone in this relatively vacant hotel was pranking me. I shut the door, locked it with the bolt this time, and went to lay back down in the bed. But then it happened again, a knock at the door. This time I jumped out of the bed, ran to the door, and checked the peephole again. Shockingly, all I saw was the empty hallway outside. But it hit me. This time I could actually see through the peephole. I unbolted the door and opened it. No one. I looked down both sides of the hallway again, and there was no one. This was where I drew the line. I grabbed the key to the room and went to the lady at the front desk. I told her someone kept knocking on my door, and politely asked her to check the cameras to see who it could be. She said they didn't have cameras in the hallways. Her reaction also wasn't what I was hoping for. She seemed very calm and disconcerted with what I told her. She said in a calm voice there was only one other guest in the whole building. Then she just stared blankly at me. I'm not sure how she thought her response properly acknowledged my concern, or what she expected me to say, but I could tell she wouldn't be of any help with the matter, so I left her and went back to my room. I locked the door with the bolt again. This time I put on my headphones and put on one of those 10-hour sleep relaxation videos on YouTube. This would not only help me get to sleep, but block out any possible future sounds from whoever was deciding to mess with me. And it worked. For a while, at least. Eventually, I flipped from my side to my back, just looked around the room. My head froze when I was staring at the corner. I sat up to try to get a closer look at what I thought I was seeing. I swear, it looked like a giant humanoid figure, like a 10-foot-tall human, standing right in the corner, head to the ceiling. When I put that image together in my head, I felt a sudden rush of horror in my body. I jumped across the bed to flick on the lamp, but when the room lit up, there was nothing in that corner of the room. I simply sat there with my heart beating, probably 200 beats per minute. I gave myself a couple minutes to calm down before shutting the light back off and laying back down on my side. I still had the headphones in my ears playing the relaxation video. It helped calm me down a little bit.
Jesus.
I didn't last even 2 minutes without sitting back up and examining the room again, however. And there it was in the corner, what looked to be a 10-foot-tall humanoid figure. I crawled to the edge of the bed to get as close a look as I could before practically shitting myself. I saw what I was sure was a long arm at the side, moving. I dove to turn on the lamp again, and the corner was empty again. I didn't stick around that time. I packed up my few things in a matter of seconds and left the room. I gave the key to the woman and said I'm checking out early. She didn't even say a word as I stormed out that front door of the hotel. I continued driving until I found another hotel, where I fell fast asleep with no supernatural disturbances.
Nah, you could have been imagining things.
As a kid, I had a bedroom on the first floor. Money was a little tight, and our mom was taking care of 4 kids. I was the youngest, so I had the little room. My room was next to the living room, a small square room with wood flooring. There were 2 big vents in the floor in this room in 2 opposite corners, and also 2 vents in the ceiling. My bed took up half the room. Like I said, it was a very small room. I'll keep it short and straight to the point. I was 13 years old doing my homework on my bed since I didn't have a desk in my room when I heard a child's laughter. I went outside my room to look around the living room and kitchen for any of my siblings. Everyone seemed to be upstairs, though. Usually in these kinds of stories, you hear people say they just chalk these kinds of things up to their imagination. But that's stupid. I definitely heard that laughter. There's no way I imagined something so clear. I continued my homework, but with one ear perked up listening for any other suspicious sounds. Eventually enough time passed that I was able to move past it. In fact, it seems it was just about when I was able to get over it that I heard it again. A child's laughter. Or more so, giggling, I should say. This time it went on longer. It wasn't coming from outside my room. It was somewhere in the room. I figured one of my brothers were hiding from me. I followed the sound of the laughter, strangely, to the corner of my room. Then I looked down at the vent on the floor. It was coming from inside the vent. I got down on my knees and pressed my ear up to the vent. There was no more giggling at this point, though. When there was a silence for a few seconds, I lifted my ear from the vent and then put my eyes up to the vent to get a peek inside. It took me a second to realize I was staring at a pair of eyes looking back up at me. I shrieked like a girl and screamed for my mom. She came storming into my room moments later, but of course the noises were gone, as were the eyes. My mom thought I was going crazy due to a lack of sleep, but I refused to sleep in that room, so she let me sleep in her room that night. That went on for a week, actually, before she put her foot down.
I don't blame you.
I spent the next 4 years in that same bedroom before we moved, and nothing paranormal ever happened to me since that one particular night.
Oof. Oh boy. Oof. Okay. You know what? The first story with the two brothers living in it, and only the one brother heard the stuff. That could have been just his imagination. Okay, with the first brother, with the first story, I think that was probably just his imagination. With the cup falling and stuff. There could have been something like, because sometimes if you don't put things up, and maybe just it slid off the thing and fell, the cup fall, that you can explain away. Okay, like maybe the thing is slanted and it fell off the counter. It just happened twice. That's not too supernatural. And the fact that you heard something tapping on your window, that could have just been, even though you're on the second floor, that could have been the wind knocking something against the window. So that one, yeah. I mean, sometimes your imaginations can play tricks on you, make you hear things that are not really there. And then the second story with the guy in the hotel room, I can see how that. Now the knocking part, I'm with him with the knocking part, because that could have been somebody just messing with you, especially and you say you look down the hallway, you didn't see somebody. So, but depending on how the hotel is set up, somebody could have been in the next room, knock on the door, and run back in, okay, and knock and close the door. So that could have been somebody else to sleep, especially when those hotels are out of the way like there. Who knows if somebody doesn't break in to one of those rooms and hang out in there, unless they got somebody cleaning every room all the time. There could be somebody living in that room next to you. Yes. And that's probably what it was. Probably somebody messing with you, somebody that's in the next room, that next room there that they don't, because especially she said there's only 2 people in the hotel that she know of, okay, that's probably checked in. But especially for those hotels that are out of the way, how somebody just wander down the road in the middle of the night and break into that hotel room and break into an empty room and sleep there. You never know that unless they clean every room every night. How are they going to know that somebody didn't break into? Especially again, like I said, these hotel rooms that are out of the way, and in the middle of and especially those low rent hotels that are like in the middle of nowhere off the side of the highway, and very few cars there. Who says that somebody can't just walk down the road and look through the windows and see if nobody's in a room and break into the room through the window or something and sleep in there for the night, and just for whatever reason, maybe he saw you checking in or heard you checking in and decided to mess with you and maybe try to get you to leave the room by knocking on the door so you could leave the room so you could sneak into your room real quick and and steal your stuff and break out. You never know. Like I said, unless they clean in that hotel every room every day, which they're probably not doing. Let's face it. They'll probably only clean the rooms probably once a week, and they only clean the rooms that people have checked into, and the other rooms they figure out why clean those if nobody's staying in them, and somebody could in the middle of the night break into one of those rooms and be in there. So that's what I think. And then as far as when he went back to his room and shut off the light and he saw a figure standing in the shadows, just trust me, that's happened to me before. When you cut off the light, sometimes it's the way things are in your room, depending, like cabinets and hangers and coats and stuff, depending on how they are. If you look at them a certain way, they can look like an ominous figure, especially in the dark. Okay, and especially his mind was active and really kind of being extra paranoid. So then you can see something that's really that you would normally look at and say, no, that's not. That's not. You would just know that's something, or that's that cabinet, or that's the poster over there. I know what that is. But when your mind is racing, then it looks like a figure to you that's moving. Okay, but again, you did the right thing checking out, because I think the knock on the door part of it could have been something. Okay, it could have been, somebody, again, like I said, somebody that broke into the hotel room, that was sleeping in the room next to you, that they didn't know about, the lady who seemed so disinterested at the register, that could have broken into that room in the middle of the night and just was waiting for you and heard you checking in and decided to play, knock on the door to get you to leave and keep knocking on the door, run back to that room real quick, okay, and hoping that you get up and go downstairs to then they could break into your room and steal whatever your stuff is and then break out. Again, that was a possibility as well. So you did the right thing checking out anyway, especially if the lady seemed so disinterested in helping you. Anyway, the third story, as a little kid and hearing the laughter, and then seeing I would still say that was maybe his brother's messing with him, except for the part that he looked into the thing and saw the eyes, unless one of his siblings, like I said, could I don't think how they could get into the vent. See, that's the part I can't explain away. They can, but you see in the eyes, maybe it wasn't eyes, maybe it was your eyes when you were looking, maybe you saw the reflection of your eyes in that vent. Okay, that's the only thing I can think of, and I would say that maybe it was one of your siblings, even if they were upstairs, maybe they could giggle through the thing and the sound would carry down into your room where you were. Maybe they discovered that earlier, one of your siblings, and that's why they were just messing with you, because they knew you were down there by yourself. Okay, which I wouldn't put past brothers mess with each other, because I do remember one time, I have to say this, there was I remember I think I came back home from the movies, and I went to my room, and I didn't turn the light on. I went to my bed. I went to my room because I think I was real tired, and I turned my TV on, and I used to turn my TV normally would face this way. I turned it this way and turned it on because I was getting ready to take my clothes off and get in the bed, and so the room was dark other than me turning the TV on, and as soon as I turned around to make a right, there was somebody standing at the door with one of those screen masks on. It was my little brother, put on a screen mask, and he was messing with me by the door. And my first instinct was to pick up that TV, and I was going to throw it at him. That was my first instinct, to pick up that TV and throw it at him, literally, because that's how he scared the crap out of me, because I wasn't expecting it. And that was my first reaction, was to pick up that TV. I was going to pick that TV up and hurl it at him, just throw it at him. But I thought about it for a minute, and when I went to grab the TV, I said, "Oh, wait a minute." And then I said, "You son of," then I realized it's my brother. Then I went, and cut the light off and it grabbed and told me, "You scared the crap out of you. You got me." That was a good one. Okay, so anyway, that was like I said, the first story I don't think is paranormal as much. I think again that's just with the cup falling. Yeah, I think that might have been just the way he sat it up there. Maybe it just fell off, and maybe there's wind in that kitchen. That's and it's a plastic cup. Plastic cups are easy. I can understand if it was a heavy glass in it, but it's a plastic cup. So a good breeze or something, that maybe there's a breeze in the kitchen that may force it to fall. So that can be explained away. Then the hearing the sounds on the window, that could be, again, in this room. As a matter of fact, I have 3 windows in this room, and this window that's closer over here to the door, I used to always hear like a little, a peck on the thing, and what it was is they have some kind of cord, I think, from the cable and stuff that was banging against the thing, but I didn't realize that until I opened up the thing and I saw it. A cord they got, I think, running from the roof, from the antenna, and it was banging when it was real windy. It would bang against this window, and I used to think, what the hell is that? And then also, sometimes you can hear birds. Birds would come down, pigeons would, and they would, and they would be by the window, and they would hit on the cord. It would make a noise. And same thing over there on by this window, by the fire escape. Sometimes birds would fly up on the thing, and they would, be pecking on the thing, and it would make a noise, so you would hear that. So that's why I think the first story, that wasn't no paranormal. The second story, I think, was maybe the guy just, maybe somebody that was in that room next to him that the lady in the hotel room didn't know about, that actually was probably sleeping in that room that she didn't know about, that heard him check in and was banging on the door to try to get him to go downstairs, which he did, but maybe he wasn't gone long enough for the guy to go into his room and take his stuff. But I think that could have been explained away, and I think the shadow that he saw could have been just a shadow in the room that it was nobody in the room. There was nothing paranormal about that. And the third story, with the little kid, I think this was his brothers messing with him. Okay, and I think maybe when he looked through the thing, the eyes he saw wasn't just his eyes. It could have been just his eyes. I don't think that was paranormal. So as far as ghosts is concerned, I really think all those three stories, they're creepy sound, but I don't think any of them were actually paranormal, if you want my honest opinion about them, okay? I don't think any of that was paranormal, okay? Anyway, let me know what you think of this story of Mr. Nightmares. I love his story. I love the way he reads the stories. So, it's real chilling. There's 3 allegedly true paranormal horror stories. Okay, like I said, I can explain them away. So those didn't really, get to me because I can explain those situations away, in my opinion. Anyway, let me know what you think. I'll leave a link to it, Mr. Nightmare's story in the description box so you can check it out. And please subscribe to Mr. Nightmare. Okay, you know who he is. He has a great way of telling the story and setting the atmosphere up for these stories, which makes them delicious to listen to. Anyway, I'll leave a link to his channel. That video in the description box so you can check that video out and sub to his channel. And also I have links to my social media in the description box, my Facebook, my Twitter, my Instagram. Also I have a link to my other channel, Paul's Views and Opinions. Please check that out as well. And this is Trey Pastor saying so long and take care.